Yo, what is going on, guys? And welcome back to 365 Analytics. And we are back today. It is full swing NFL offseason mode, and we are back. It took about a week. I took about a week off coming back from the Super Bowl. And obviously, we saw the Philadelphia Eagles. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles on becoming the Super Bowl champions. But now it is full eyes on the NFL offseason and what teams are going to do, free agency, the draft, combines coming up later this month, all of that fun stuff. So yeah, if you guys enjoy, please like, subscribe. That would all be greatly appreciated. And I'm gonna explain what we're gonna do today. Obviously, you saw the title, and yeah, we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna do a mock off season of my favorite team, the Cincinnati Bengals. Before I get into this, shout out to Paul Daner Jr. of the Athletic for making this spreadsheet. It's called the Choose Your Adventure spreadsheet. He like posts it on his Twitter and stuff. He makes that thing every offseason. So shout out to the Athletic and shout out to Paul Daner Jr. For making this spreadsheet and for this kind of like template. So yeah, thanks to him. And yeah, but other than that, we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna go over what needs to be said. We're gonna go over how much cap space the Bengals have. It was just reported to NFL teams today that there will be an increase in the cap, like usual. Obviously, it's a very abnormal increase this year. I think they said it's in the range of 276 to 281, something like that. It's gonna be in that range of millions of dollars. But yeah, let's get right into this. As the Bengals stand today with the new increase, the Bengals stand at $53 million, just over, and that is before all of the cuts that are going to be coming this offseason. So yeah, we're going to start off with the cuts. We're going to start with the cuts. So to start off, first cut, we have a few cuts here. I think the first slam dunk cut, I'm gonna go with the slam dunks first. The first slam dunk is absolutely Sheldon Rankins. Sheldon Rankins will not be on the roster. Obviously, a disappointing year that he signed here. Obviously, was brought in to be the DJ Reader replacement, and he was everything but that. Had a very slow start, showed little flashes, and then he got sick, was placed on NFI, and just had an overall disaster first year in Cincinnati. So he will be a part of the cuts. Cut number two, Alex Kappa. That's a slam dunk. Had a very bad year as the right guard of the Bengals. Wouldn't say it's an overall bad signing. He had some good moments with us over the years. He was a solid lineman. This year he had a really down year though. Looked really bad. Honestly, I think he won the triple crown of bad. He won the triple crown of bad. That's what happened. I think he allowed the most pressures, let up the most sacks, and let up the most QB hurries or something like that. I don't know. It was a really bad year for him though. Slam dunk of a cut. And then also, I think you cut Sam Hubbard. I'm gonna say to cut Sam Hubbard. This one is not as much of a slam dunk as Rankin and Kappa, I'd say, but I still think the Bengals are gonna lead in this direction. Obviously, his last play as a Bengal was the touchdown catch, which is pretty insane in itself. Very thankful for what Sam Hubbard did for the organization. Obviously, a Cincinnati kid made countless plays for us over the years, but the money with the production just isn't there anymore and isn't what it needs to be. And the money that you get from cutting him is more valuable than what he's been showing on the field over the past few years. So I think they're going to opt to cut him, but thank you for everything, Sam Hubbard. Next up, a lot of people are talking about cutting Geno Stone potentially, potential cut of Geno Stone. I'm gonna opt to save him. I'm gonna opt. I think he had a good last 5 games. I think the new defensive coordinator Al Golden obviously in the building now. I think he'll work well with Jordan Battle, and I think the Bengals, he's in a contract year. They're gonna give him a second chance, so I'm gonna opt not to cut him. Who I am gonna cut is Jermaine Pratt. Obviously, last week requested a trade from the Cincinnati Bengals. Probably was asked to take a pay cut, in my opinion. Good chance that he was. And obviously, he was like, absolutely not. That's not happening. Who knows? Maybe he wasn't a fan of the new defensive coordinator hire. In this template off season, I would put him in the trade for a pick, but his option is we can't don't have him as an option for a trade, but makes the same effect. Even if he's traded for a late round pick, Indianapolis, a lot of people are talking about the Louis and Arumo connection. Even if he's traded, has the same effect of cutting him. $5.6 million the Bengals acquire from cutting him. And yeah, I think he is not going to be a Cincinnati Bengal next year, absolutely. So yeah, Jermaine Pratt made obviously. the interception playoff P against the Raiders. Very thankful for everything, but just didn't have enough juice this year as for his production. And then I'm gonna opt to keep Ted Karras, obviously. Don't think he's gonna be cut. I'm gonna opt to keep Cordell Volson. You could gain $3.6 million. I do not think he's gonna be starting guard of the Cincinnati Bengals next year, but he is a very quality depth piece. He was a turnstile on the line as a starter, but he can be a very quality depth piece as a backup guard or the sixth offensive lineman. So I'm gonna opt to keep him on the roster. But the last cut I'm gonna make is Zach Moss, gains $3.5 million. Coming off an injury, had a pretty down year, was the starter over Chase Brown to begin the season last year, and I just don't think he showed enough production. Obviously, Chase Brown's the running back one, no doubt about it. The Bengals brought in Khalil Herbert. He played solid in the role that he got, and yeah, I think they ought to cut Zach Moss, get that $3.5 million. So yeah, is the cuts I am going to make. 5 cuts: Rankins, Capel, Hubbard, Pratt, and Moss to gain all that money, and that leaves the Bengals at $88 million of money to spend. And we're gonna spend it, all right. We're gonna spend it. So let's start off from the top down on the offense. We're going to go over everything in depth here. Running back two. Who is the running back two of the Cincinnati Bengals next year? Obviously, we just caught Zach Moss. It's not going to be him. I do not think the Bengals opt to go with one of the more expensive options like Aaron Jones, Rico Dowdle, Kenneth Gainwell, probably a little too big, too much expensive. Dobbins a little bit too expensive. I think Javonte Williams would be a good option, but not on that $3.5 million price. I'd say bargain replacement. I don't know why Khalil Herbert isn't on here. Khalil Herbert isn't on here for some reason, but I'm gonna go bargain replacement here as the Bengals running back two. I don't expect them to spend big at the running back two position. Everybody knows Chase Brown is filling that role at this point, and I think he's ready to fill that role. Dan near had a 1,000 yard season this past year. If he didn't get hurt in the final game against Pittsburgh, or if he didn't get hurt before the final game against Pittsburgh, he would have had that 1,000 yard season. So everyone knows Chase Brown's the running back one. I think the Bengals are going to opt to go bargain replacement. So the wide receiver position, where it gets interesting. Where it gets interesting, wide receiver one, you all know who it is. The question is, do they get the Jamar Chase deal done or the fifth year option? I mean, they cannot possibly mess this up. I think they're getting an extension here. I think Jamar Chase gets paid. He obviously remains a wide receiver one in Cincinnati, and he gets the big, big money that he's commanding. Is on the fifth year option right now, but that money doesn't kick in until next year. I think he gets a new extension. There you go. Wide receiver two. This is what everybody in the NFL is talking about. T. Higgins was reported this earlier this week that he is expected to get the franchise tag from Cincinnati. Obviously, the expected move. You can't let a guy like that walk into the open market. It'd be absolute malpractice from the front office if they did. But it feels a lot different this year than it did last year with the tag for T. Higgins. Obviously, last year, there was little to no hope of a long term deal. The idea was T. Higgins is going to play on the tag, he's going to play with his guys, and he'll enter free agency this offseason. But the Bengals opt to tag him again. This year, it feels like this. The Bengals ink a long term deal with him, and he is a Cincinnati Bengal for years to come, or the Bengals trade him if they can find a trade partner. T. Higgins is absolutely not playing on a franchise tag this year, and nor do I blame him. There's no reason he should be able to play on a franchise tag with a player of his caliber, and I think that's the option. So it's either you pay him an extension or you trade him. League executives around the Senior Bowl did say that they think it's more likely at this point that the Bengals extend T. Higgins than he walks to another team in free agency. And I'm gonna opt the Bengals extend him. I think they're gonna get a long-term deal done. I mean, I've been I've been back and forth on this for a long time now. I mean, at some points it's like I don't think they get a long-term deal done. They give me little to no confidence. It's the Bengals. I mean, the Bengals cannot possibly mess this up. Your quarterback has lobbied for T. Higgins to stay in the organization. He's called him a need. He's gave you everything. He went on Part of My Take the other day and said that they need to get this done. He is a need, and he's willing to restructure potentially to work around the cap space. Burrow doesn't even need to restructure, and they can still get it done. There is no excuse for the Bengals not to get this done, and I think they're going to extend T. Higgins, and I think that T. Higgins is here to stay in Cincinnati, and there's no excuse for him not to be. So Bengals better get it done. Wide receiver three is under Yoshi Bosch. I think that he's proven enough to earn that role and be a key contributor in that role. He needs to get a little more consistent with his hands, possibly, or his route running separation. But he's shown flashes for a sixth round guy from Princeton. He's been nothing short of great for a sixth round guy from Princeton. So yeah, I think Andre Yossi Wash is the wide receiver three, ready to step into that role. But with the Burton stuff coming out, obviously with all the controversy he has going on off the field, the character problems, I could see the Bengals drafting a receiver to be that wide receiver four above Burton because Burton had an up and down year. And yeah, I think Andre Yossi Wash is wide receiver three though. Tight end one, another interesting position. Obviously Drew Sample and Cam Grandy can't be tight end one. That is terrible. But there is options. If you don't want to bring back Mike Gesicki, you have Jawan Johnson, Tyler Conklin, Kylan Granson, Austin Hooper, Molly Cox, Hunter Long, Tanner Hudson's not our replacement here. You could go a bargain guy, $1.5 million. Keep in mind this tight end draft class is very, very good. Tyler Warren's a guy from Penn State. A lot of people are talking about Colston Loveland from Michigan, Elijah Arroyo from Miami. Very, very good tight end class this year. But Joe Burrow and the guys have lobbied for Mike Gesicki to come back to the city. The city loves him. The team loves him. He's a great guy in the locker room. He's a tight end that can produce for you. And I'm going to say the Bengals ink him and get it done for $5 million. I think they're going to absolutely spend on this offense this offseason. And I think Mike Gesicki wants to stay. And I think the Bengals are going to ink him and get it done. And I think he's here to stay in Cincinnati as their tight end. Then you go to the interior offensive line. I think center, we'll start in center, honestly, here. Ted Karras, that's slam dunk. Ted Karras is your center. One of the better centers in the league, I'd say. But that shouldn't be a question if you ask me. He's your starting center. But then you look at the guard positions, where it gets interesting. Left guard, you're not bringing back Cordell Volson. You're not starting Jackson Kirkland. And the Bengals have shown little or no confidence at Matt Lee for stepping into a guard position. I love Matt Lee. I think he could be a good center in the future. I think he was an absolute steal in the second round out of Miami. I mean, in the seventh round out of Miami. I think I think he was a great pick. I do, but the the gripe about him coming out of college was that he was little. He was little to no. He had little to no versatility, which can be true. He can't really play either guard position. Beside the center position is his position. When Ted Karras walks out the door next year, Matt Lee's probably going to be your starting center in 2025 or in 2026 season. But he can't really step into that guard position. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing back Cody Ford, but absolutely not as a starting center. Trey Smith's probably too expensive. Will Fries, Tevin Jenkins, that's probably out of their market. I would love for the Bengals to bring in Zach Martin. Let me tell you that. But I think there's a good chance Zach Martin hangs up the cleats, calls it a career. Brandon Scherf, cheap at this point in his career. Kevin Zeitler is a guy I'd really like to bring in, bring back to Cincinnati after the years with Baltimore and the year with Detroit last year. James Daniels, also a guy I'm really interested in. Dalton Risner, one of the more underrated players in the entire league. But I think they're going to fill both these guard positions. Let me go to right guard. Let's start with right guard here. I think that one of one of your guards you have to absolutely pay. You have to absolutely pay one of your guards, I think, and you have to find a replacement. So I'm going to say left guard, or I'm going to say right guard. I'm going to say one of these two guys is one of the guys I'm looking at, Kevin Zeitler or James Daniels. Can they bring in one of those guys? James Daniels coming off a major injury, very, very risky, but at the $5 million number, he's shown great, great production at the guard position. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take James Daniels at either the left guard or the right guard, whatever he desires to play. I'm gonna slot him at the right guard here, $5 million, coming off of the years of the Pittsburgh Steelers, coming off a major injury. That's where I'm gonna slot him in. I'm gonna say the Bengals bring in James Daniels. For the left guard, this is where it gets interesting. I will say this. I'll explain it more after. But I already did a mock out of the picks I'm gonna do for this video, round 1 through 4. I already did a mock out of what I want to do. But I'm gonna do the Bengals second round pick as your starting left guard. and I'll talk more about the draft after and who I'm gonna draft, and I'll show you who that is. And if you followed the draft at all in the past few weeks, you probably have an idea of who it's gonna be. But yeah, I'll explain the draft picks after. And I'm going to say the second round pick slots in at left guard. But you do want some security at position. I don't think you can go into the draft with Cordell Volson being slotted in that position or Cody Ford. You might have to bring in a cheap bargain guy to slot into that position. But the second round pick for now, I think, is fine to slot there. I'll explain it more after. Then inside offensive line four is absolutely Cordell Volson. He gets slotted IOL four. And then offensive tackle three. This is your swing tackle. Definitely not going to go expensive here. I like Jedrick Wills, but not that price. Trent Brown, he's a guy that likes the city. I mean, he played a few games last year, only played 2.5 games technically. He had a pretty bad week one, decent week two. I mean, I don't see them bringing him back. Bobby Hart $1 hats. That's good. That's a good joke. That's a good joke. That's a good joke. If you know, you know. Bobby Hart, he's terrible. I'm gonna go bargain replacement here, $2 million. I expect the Bengals to probably bring in a swing tackle, but not an expensive one. I'd really enjoy Jedrick Wills, but $4 million might be a little bit too much to spend in that department. And we still have the entire defense to go, obviously. But yeah, so that is your offense. That is your full offense next year. Obviously, not really anybody brought in technically. Kind of looks offense looks very very similar. Obviously, you have the new guard, second round pick. I'll explain that more after. You have James Daniels brought in from free agency from Pittsburgh, should be ready to go for week one. And you have a bargain replacement swing tackle with the extensions of Mike Gesicki, T. Higgins, and obviously Jamar Chase. You have a bargain replacement running back too. I expect that to stay Khalil Herbert. I expect him to slot into the running back two position next year and be a viable running back two. So yeah, that's your offense. Then we go over to defense. Edge number one, Trey Hendrickson extension. That's going to take some money. I think the Bengals have to get him locked up. They have to work around the cap. He is a future Ring of Honor member in my eyes in Cincinnati. Probably the best free agent signing they've ever had from the New Orleans Saints. Nothing but production over the years he's been here. And I think the Bengals just have to find a way to get it done. Obviously, I'll say it again. The players have lobbied for it. Burrows publicly lobbied for it, put pressure on the front office. And I think the Bengals have to get it done. And I don't know, Hendrickson's the one I'm least confident about. I'd say it's like, the Bengals don't like paying guys over 30. Trey Hendrickson's 30 years old now, but he's done nothing but produce for you, and I think you have to pay him that respect, give him some guaranteed money, change your ways, and get the guys' deals done. So, give me Trey Hendrickson's edge one. Edge two is where it gets interesting. Sam Hubbard restructure, we already did the Sam Hubbard cut, but I honestly don't see the Bengals restructuring any contracts. They've shown they've never restructured a contract in their history, actually. Joe Mixon, if you want to consider that a restructure, that was technically a Joe Mixon pay cut. They approached him, hey, do you want to take a pay cut? Yes, it's considered a restructure, but I mean, come on. It wasn't really a restructure. But Edge 2, I'm looking in this range. Dayo Odeyingbo is a guy gaining a lot of hype as a young edge rusher that could gain some interest. Probably not going to go that expensive for $13 million. Baron Browning for 10 million is pretty good deal. Um, then you look at Caleb on Chase on Ojolari and Omena, who are interesting. Davenport's coming off an injury. There was a lot of rumors the Bengals possibly at the deadline to trade for Azeez Ojolari from the Giants. He didn't end up getting dealt. Now he's a free agent. I'm going to say the Bengals go in that direction as your edge number two. $7 million for Azeez Ojolari, bringing him in from the New York Giants. There was rumored interest at the trade deadline, and I think the Bengals are going to opt to go in that direction. Edge number three. This is interesting. You look at Miles Murphy. Can he potentially step in that position? I think he deserves it. I don't think Lou Anarumo and his staff, Marion Hobby, gave him a fair chance to succeed, if I'm being real. He's I get it. I fully get it. He's had some snaps. He hasn't really shown crazy flashes. He's obviously 2 years in now. He hasn't really had a fair chance. But I think with the new regime, Al Golden, new defensive line coach Jerry Montgomery, I'm gonna slot him at edge number three. I'm gonna stay away from spending there, and I think you slot Miles Murphy in, give him a fair chance, give him year three as his make or break year. This is the Miles Murphy make or break year to develop. He has to get it done this year, and I think that if they give him a fair chance, then he can. So give me Miles Murphy at edge three. D tackle one. This is where I think they could go expensive. That's where I think they go expensive. All right. So you have three D tackles. I obviously talked about the mock draft before. I'm gonna say your D tackle three is your first round pick. Listen to that. I'm saying defensive tackle three is your first round pick. Um, again, if you follow the draft a lot, you might know who that is. I'll talk about that a little more in a second. Defensive tackle two, you can either say it's McKinley Jackson or Chris Jenkins. I'd say Chris Jenkins slots in the position. Chris Jenkins Jr., second round pick last year from Michigan. He slots in DT2. BJ Hill is a free agent. Do you want to extend him? I don't know. I don't know. He's about 30. BJ Hill's probably 30, 29 years old, 30 years old at this point. $8 million, a little bit too much to spend for him, in my opinion. I'm very thankful for him. I wouldn't be opposed to the Bengals bringing him back. He's had some great moments with Cincinnati since the trade with Giants, where we absolutely fleeced them in the Billy Price trade. I'm nothing but thankful for that guy, man. Nothing but thankful. But I think it's time to move on there. But here is where I'm gonna absolutely swing. I'm gonna go high here. This is my choose your adventure offseason sheet. Who knows if the Bengals go in this direction? I'm gonna go Oso Odigizua, the Dallas Cowboys defensive tackle, looking to make a lot of money in the open market. Does not look like he's gonna return in Dallas. There's a lot of suitors for him in the open market. People talk saying Washington. People are saying Carolina. There's like a ton of teams that could be looking at him, and I'm gonna say the Bengals make a swing and get him at $22 million. Okay, next up, we go to the linebacker position. Linebacker two. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing back ADG. I don't think the Bengals spend this big at all. I don't even think they look that high. I would love Dre Greenlaw though. Oof. Ooh, I would love Dre Greenlaw. Dude, I would love Dre Greenlaw. Okay, so again, I'm going to the draft here. I'm going to the draft for my linebacker three. I already mocked it out. It was a fourth round draft pick in my mock draft. I'm gonna talk about that more in a second. Again, linebacker two though. Dude, dude, I wanna. Oh, do I have enough money to spend Greenlaw? If I have enough money to spend on Greenlaw, I might have to. ADG. If I don't have money for Greenlaw, ADG is gonna be my guy. I'm gonna slot in ADG. He did change his agent to David Mulligetta, which is a little bit alarming for him. His chances of re-signing with the Bengals. The stories with Mulligetta and the Bengals, he's never David Mulligetta. Any of his players have never got deals done with the Bengals, and the Keen Davis Gaither is now represented by David Mulligetta and Athletes First. But I'm gonna slot in ADG for there. Now, if I have money left over though, I'm going to Dre Greenlaw at the end. I'm absolutely going to Dre Greenlaw. Cornerback one. This is where it gets interesting as well. I like Carlton Davis a lot. That's why I'm like, oh, do I have money to spend here? Carlton Davis. I thought he was showing a lot of flash. I thought he was very good. One of the most underrated corners in the league last year with the Lions before the injury. I like him a lot. I think he could slot in cornerback one well. He is getting towards that 30 age, I believe. But I don't think the Bengals probably spend that much on a corner. Byron Murphy had a very good year, Pro Bowl season last year, but I don't think the Bengals go in that direction. Hmm. I'm gonna spend big one more. I'm either gonna get Greenlaw or I'm gonna get Carlton Davis, right? I'm gonna say cornerback one is Cam Taylor Britt. Cornerback two, Paulson Adebo. I like him a lot too. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. What if I maximized? We'll swing back to corner. We'll swing back to corner. We'll swing back to corner. This is tough. We'll swing back to corner. Um, I'm getting this out of the way quick. Geno Stone and Jordan Battle are your safeties. Jordan Kovacs went on Dave Lapham's show the other day and expressed confidence in the safety duo of Geno Stone and Jordan Battle. Jordan Battle, very aspiring young player, shown flashes, the third round pick out of Alabama a few years ago. Von Bell played a lot of snaps over him last year. People were calling for Louis Rameau's job at that point. Oh, why is Von Bell playing? Which I totally agree with him. Then you have Geno Stone, who had a really, really bad start to the year, to be honest with you. But the last 5 games, the Bengals were a 4-8 football team. They picked it up. They won 5 games in a row. The secondary played better. Geno Stone made some plays. He was a lot better, given the quarterbacks weren't great that we played. But I think Geno Stone showed what he could be as the free agent signing, what the Bengals wished for when they brought him in the last 5 games of the year. So I'm off the Bengals save him and they move on with him. So that's your safety room. But then you go to the cornerback room. That's where I'm stuck. That's where I'm absolutely stuck. Slot cornerback. I don't think they bring Mike Hilton back. I love Mike Hilton. Louis Rumo is obviously gone now. Mike Hilton and Louis Rumo were a very good duo. They were very good friends, and I don't think the Bengals opt to continue going there with Mike Hilton. Obviously, 30 years old now. Again, Bengals don't opt to pay people much over 30, so I'm the opt they move on from him. So I think one of these guys could step in your slot. I think Dax could step in your slot. I'm gonna say Dax Hill's your slot cornerback. Honestly, I'm gonna say Dax Hill steps into your slot. I'm gonna say cornerback 4. Dax Hill can step into your slot. I think this cornerback room really bugging me. What if I went Paulson Adebo, Cam Taylor Britt, DJ Turner, and that moves Josh Newton to cornerback 5? So that's good depth there. That's good depth with having Josh Newton late at cornerback 5. And then with the $8 million I have left over, go get Dre Greenlaw. There you go. Duke Tobin, hire me in the front office, baby. I just absolutely cooked. I absolutely cooked. That is cooked. I cooked. This is what it's all about right here, and that finishes your defense. Trey Hendrickson gets a new extension. Azeez Ojulari brought in as your edge number 2. Edge number 3 is Miles Murphy. Defensive tackle 1, you spend big. You go get Osa Odigizua. Chris Jenkins steps in as DT2. You have a first round pick spent on defensive tackle number 3. Logan Wilson is your linebacker 1. Obviously, you go get Dre Greenlaw from the Niners at linebacker 2. You spend your fourth round pick on linebacker 3. Paulson and Debo's brought in to complement Cam Taylor Britt, pushes Cam Taylor Britt to covering number 2 receivers. Then you have Dak stepping as your slot to replace Mike Hilton. DJ Turn is pushed to your cornerback number 4, and Stone and Battle stay the same. Duke Tobin. Duke Tobin, hire me in the front office. But that leads to the draft picks. I'm going to reveal my draft picks now. So I wrote them down. I did like a little mock draft, like a mock up of what I think this could be realistic and what I think the Bengals could do. So your round 1 pick is Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle from Ole Miss. That's your first round pick. A lot of people are mocking him to the Bengals. I think Daniel Jeremiah had him to the Bengals in his first mock draft. Yeah, very young, aspiring defensive lineman from Ole Miss. A lot of people are mocking him in the range of the Bengals, Cardinals, in that like middle of the first round range. And I think he could be a good pick for the Bengals. Then second round pick, obviously you saw I used it on my left guard. Tate Radulich. I do not know how to spell something like that. Obviously, offensive guard from UGA. That's your offensive guard 1. He's your left guard in 2025. Then your round 3 pick is I did not present it on this board, but he's depth. He's considered depth behind Miles Murphy. I picked Jared Ivey, the edge from Ole Miss. So you have 2 Ole Miss players on your defense drafted in the first 3 rounds. And then to finish out the first 4 rounds of your draft, I have the Bengals taking Jack Kaiser with obviously the Al Golden connection there. He's the linebacker from Notre Dame. So there you go. That's how I think it looks. Not well. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. Um, not necessarily how I think it looks. This is how I think it should look for the Cincinnati Bengals this offseason. Duke Tobin, call me up. Call me up, Duke Tobin. I absolutely just cooked. I absolutely cooked. If this is your roster next year, the Bengals are going to be back in playoff contention. They're going to be back in. They're going to be back in contention. I'm telling you, with Burrow in the offense clicking still, Burrow in the offense showed you all they need. All you got to do is improve that defense, and they're going to be a perennial playoff team. I'm telling you. So yeah, Duke Tobin, hit my phone, and we're going to cook up together this offseason. So yeah, but yeah, guys, that's it right there. So that is my mock Bengals offseason. It's currently Wednesday when I'm recording this. Who knows? T. Higgins could have the tag by the time this goes up. I'm probably gonna upload this maybe Friday, probably Thursday night, Friday morning potentially. I'm gonna upload this. That's what I was thinking. But who knows? By the time this goes up, T. Higgins could potentially be tagged already. So it's only a matter of days. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe. That'd all be really appreciated. I'll be back very, very soon next week. Combine's coming up. March Madness is in a month. I cannot tell you how pumped up I am for March Madness this year. It's gonna be a crazy tournament this year. We have a lot of crazy 8 and 9 seeds. We're the 8 and 9. I won't even get into. Should I get into March Madness? The number 8 and 9 seeds in March Madness. We're gonna have UConn. We're gonna have Gonzaga. We're gonna have Bill Self's Kansas team, who looks very, very cold right now. It's gonna be a crazy tournament this year, so I'm so excited for what's ahead. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. And I'll see you next time.